Okay, so in this following tutorial, I'm going to go over what I did in terms of making texture for the lower part. And then we're gonna go over applying that texture here and also creating the shaders for it. Okay. Alright, so this here is my UVs. I'm gonna name it UV. I'm gonna hide it for now. And this one is the let me name this dark brown top surface. Dark brown mud top surface. So I noticed that I need to organize the layers better. So here's the dark brown mud top surface, but underneath it it's the same thing, but for the rest of it. And I'm gonna just rename this dark brown mud top surface 1, and I'm gonna open the top one, grab the lower one, and just gonna move, and when it turns blue line, it should be dropped in there. Right, good. So what I did was that first folder where I labeled it 1, this one I'm gonna label it 2. So this one is the underneath surface. That's the one that I was working on before in the initial tutorial. So what I did was I grabbed it, I yanked it, I moved it up just enough where it turned blue, and when it turned blue, that means it will dump it in there into this folder. Alright, other thing that I did was I locked it with this one right there, so I can't accidentally select it. Let me lock this one too, that was a good example. Alright, let me zoom out a bit. So I got that one too. Well, no, these are other ones. I need to label this. So I'm gonna grab all of this and I'm gonna put it in its own folder. Group layers? Yeah. Okay, I'll name it lighter brown mud lower surface. Alright, good. So I want to discuss how what did I notice? Let me turn on the UV. I noticed something repeating. I can't see it again. Alright, so I noticed this and this, this and this, this and this repeating. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it so that when I dump this back into Maya, I can see how much of it is obvious, and that way you can see it too, and to avoid it and to look for things like that when the textures repeat. Okay, so for now I'm just gonna leave that. And regarding the lower light brown textures, so same thing I did before. I'm gonna open that up. Let's hide all of that, hide the UV. So there's that part. I'm gonna hide that. Here's this texture and the lower texture. And then I start just patching things up. And like that. And I used this texture before, but I know that these will look like footprints or even tire marks. But I'm just gonna leave that here for now so that you could see it as well. But in my previous texture that I did, I covered up everything, so it looks super natural. You know, in this sense, me leaving it here, you see good texture versus bad texture. You know, lazy texture making versus, you know, paying attention to details and stuff like that. Or maybe it might not even be noticeable. Chances are it'll probably be noticeable. Anyhow, so there you go. Regarding this texture that I used, it was this one. Source images. This one. That's the one that I used. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so let's save this. Save as a copy. That way, only through save as a copy you can save it as a JPEG. You know, going through save as a copy route. Alright, cube sidewalls. Sample test. Oh, look at that. It wants to save it under images. Be careful as to where it's being saved. I thought I was gonna go to my source images, but it was sending me to images. So always gotta check. And hit enter. Okay. Alright. So back in here, I accidentally selected the sky dome because it's big. So what I should do is make a display layer for it. So over here, this icon where I explained in the beginning of class, first class, create a new layer and assign select objects. Click that. There you go. V for visibility. Double click on the layer 1. Here it pops open. I'm going to label it underscore physical sun sky underscore. Alright, then I'm going to place it as a R for reference. Okay, now I'm going to grab my cube. We named it. Good. So this stuff here is the history, the construction history, which I also go over in the foundational notes. For now, I'm just going to leave it. All this stuff means is that I apply the UV map. Alright, with that, I'm going to bring this here, the hypershade, and yeah, I'll try to dock it. You could dock it like that. I'm going to close the outliner tab. Scoot this over, try to get some more room. This is the material viewer, property editor. Like I mentioned before, or maybe I didn't mention it, the property editor is the same as attribute editor. Right now, this doesn't look like that because I need to select the cube. I mean the shader, which is here. So this is the property editor, same thing as the attribute editor. I want to X this out because I need space. Need space. Good. So here's a shader, the top cube shader, remember? Okay. Right, so this is what I'm going to do. this top surface, just the top surface, I'm going to give it one shader. And for the bottom, I'm going to give it a different shader. Instead of just one shader for everything. And the reason why is that there's another method called multi-tile UV mapping, and what we call UV centric linking, and a couple other things using masks and other things where you could, you know, have two different textures, you know, one, like I said before, one for the top and one for the sides, right? And have it linked to just one shader. But in our situation, with this just being a second level class, there's a good chance that it's gonna confuse you, or pretty much everybody. So I decided to just go this route where you could, it's the, you know, it's not the official way to approach it, but it works. It's not gonna break, and you could see what's happening, and students will understand it. All right. So I need a top surface, and the way I'm gonna select it is, you know, you could think about like maybe I'm gonna do this, and then do that, you know. But I need to let go of these parts that I don't want. So meaning I'm gonna pull open the UV texture editor, which is here, UV editor. So remember this. Now, just to refresh, this thing, this shade, this model has two UV maps under UV sets, cube side walls UV, and cube top surface UV. Here's a top surface, side wall surface. And the reason why I had them split up is because I'll have one big old canvas for the sidewalls and one big old canvas for the top surface. So what I'm going to do is right click, go to face. Again, that was right click, go to face. Make sure your object's first selected. I'm going to just do that. That way, I only pick these, not these. These are connected to the sidewall. The reason why I'm doing it like, why I set it up like that is because I want there to be a transition between the top and the bottom. So the top portion has two segments, the bottom portion has two segments, and hopefully it will transition more smoothly. Instead of, you know, one chunk like that versus one chunk like that. Anyway, so I did that, which was again right click, face, select all of it, because in the UVs you can also select it as faces. Whatever you do, do not move this. The UVs are set as the same as over here. The UVs are set. So do not move the UVs in Maya. Do not move them. This is also especially true when you are character rigging. So yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to select the faces. And, or not that face. You know, I'm going to select, go to UVs, cube sidewalls. I'm going to select just the sidewalls. Okay. And before I do anything, before I select the sidewalls, I'm gonna go into the shaders under Arnold shader and AI standard surface, but gonna choose AI standard surface. So I made a new surface shader just for the walls. Now I'm gonna grab the walls, but I need to select them as faces, like that. Right click, hover, and select face. I'm gonna marquee select the faces. I'm gonna go over to the shader. I'm gonna right click on the shader node and assign material to viewport selection, and that assigned the shader to these faces. So you can assign the shader to the object as well as just the faces. Oh, just happened. Why did it split off? Okay. Alright, so I did that. I'm gonna now label this. I'm gonna label it sidewall shader. Sidewall shader. So if I select the sidewall shader, I right click, hold and right click, select objects with material. This way I can check and look. So again, that was select the shader, right click, hold right click, select objects with material. Let me move this out of the way. Here's my top cube surface shader. And in case you don't know how to grab that again, let's pretend nothing's here. I'm gonna click this here, there's 3 stars. That wipes off the work area. Let's say you wanna grab this shader and you wanna dump it here. What you do is you press this button right there. Again, that was that one. And then this one, top cube surface shader, I'm gonna right click, select objects with material, just to confirm. Then I'm gonna grab this one, the top cube top surface, and the sidewall shader, and I'm gonna click that again, this guy right there, so I can have both seeing at the same time. Then I'm gonna grab my sidewall shader, and I wanna put my texture. I'm gonna go to its base. Base means like its base color, and here's the color, and the weight is how strong it is. 0 means no color, 1 means full color. Don't worry about the roughness and metalness for now. Under color, I'm going to click on the checkerboard, because that will allow me to input things into it. For example, a file texture. File texture is basically a container where you dump the actual texture into it. So file 1, I want to name this sidewall texture. That way we know what it's going to be, sidewall texture. And you have all this stuff. All you got to look at is image name. Click on the folder, because the folder will allow you to pop something in there. I'm in source images where it should be saved. Here it is, MicroWorld cube sidewalls sample test, even the date and time. And here, open. Now it's linked in. Okay, this is the allow you to repeat the texture, and this is the actual texture itself. Connecting its out color, which has its RG and B, kind of like in Photoshop has RGB, and connecting down to here, its base color, like I mentioned before, its own RGB. Alright, so that was set. That's how you set that up. And I'm going to leave something here on purpose so you can see it. Making sure I'm in my front. I'm going to pull open the render view, which is here. This eyeball. I'm gonna open it up. I made it big. I'm gonna make it small. Window. No, view. Test resolution. 100% instead of 150. That will be quicker render times. And render. Update full scene. Alright. Oh, it didn't show. Okay, so as you can see, it didn't show. Now that's good. What I want to do, alright, there you go. This hitting that is 1-to-1. The reason why it didn't show is I need to show you a new tool. It's called the UV centric linking. It sounds complicated, but what it is where, let's first go to Windows, Relationship Editors, UV linking, UV as in the UNV, the stuff we did before. And it's gonna link, do some special linking. Let's choose UV centric. Now you're gonna see this new window. Relationship editor. I'm gonna select the model. Look what happens. MicroWorld cube shape. That's your 3D model object. Underneath it, you have cube top surface UV. That's the UV that we made before. The cube sidewalls UV that we made before with its own UV sets. Now you have cube top surface shader, the shader that here we made before, and a sidewall shader, the one that we just made right now. So this is the reason why having also detailed names will help out tremendously. So here, what we're going to do is the cube top surface UV, we have it mapped. Its UV is mapped to the cube top surface texture, the texture image that we made in Photoshop, and it's also UV mapped to the sidewall texture. And that's why you kind of don't see what's happening. It's kind of screwy. So what I'm going to do is unlink that. Why don't you let me unlink it? Alright, so you notice that it wouldn't let me unlink it. I tried to click on it to unlink it, but it won't. It gave me warning, texture may not be used multiple times. Yeah, I don't want to. So what I did was click on the cube sidewall UVs, and right now it has nothing linked. So I'm just gonna link to the sidewall texture. So the UV sidewalls to the sidewall texture. Now when I click on the cube top surface, the top surface here, oh look, it changed. Now it's only selecting the cube top surface texture. Hope that wasn't confusing. Too bad in a way where you wanna not do it. So hopefully, yeah. Now I'm gonna bring it back and hit that render. Oh, look at that. Now we have it. Good. Alright, so I'm gonna X this out. Again, just in case, it's over here. Windows, Relationship Editors, UV linking, UV centric. And I have interactive rendering on. So I'm going to zoom in. As you can see, it looks shiny, right? And this is ugly. I gotta fix that. Well, at least good it's there. I have the shininess here. I left it there on purpose so that you can see that it's a problem. I'm gonna double click on the sidewall shader. I'm gonna pause the interactive rendering. Here's my sidewall shader, like how it's named, which helps out so much. And the reason why it's shiny is because specular, meaning that means shininess. Its weight or its strength is set to 1. I need to tone this down to 0, that way you don't say anything. Roughness is, you could have it to 1, where it's a perfect reflection, but you could crank the roughness up and get it more of a super hazy gloss. Yeah. Oftentimes we just do this. You can crank it to 1, the power of it, and turn up the roughness to get a more, neutral, fuzzy, specular shading, and not that rough, pure reflected shading. Anyway, I want to set it to 0. Specular. Then I'm going to go back here and let's do another render. So here was before. I want to save this. I'm going to click on the little camera, save a snapshot, render, update full scene. Now it's gone. Before, after. But you see how this part gets dark now? That's because it has no shine to it. Anyhow, as you can see, you could see the footprints. It looks stupid, like it shouldn't be there. So I remember fixing this up. I had to go in and fix it up, and here it is again. So I just want to show that on purpose for that you guys know what to look for. So that was that. I'm gonna end this at 30-minute mark. I just want to quickly review. So what I did was, if you already have everything good to go, you could just shut it off now. But for those who are still a little bit confused, I have my hyper shade, which was over here again, and I have 2 shaders set up, where one shader is just for the top surface. I'm going to right click, select it, right click, hold, select objects with material, and there you go. Be careful, do not move this, it's going to move. Sidewall shader, right click, select objects with material. Okay. And then I put the sidewall texture into the base color, which was through here. You click on that, it makes a file texture node. Click on the folder, you pick it, and it's inserted. Okay, that's what this was. And I have it with a UV linking, which is the main theme of this tutorial, which was over here again, Windows, relationship editors, UV linking. So we're editing the relationship between the surface shader, okay, that's texture centric. We were working on UV centric. It's the same thing but flipped. So, before I taught you guys where you have the UV for a cube top surface, and we had its relationship linking directly to only the cube top surface texture, and then we had the cube sidewalls UV only linking its relationship linking to only the sidewall texture, which is here. And that, one portion of the model is shaded with one thing, the other portion of the model is shaded with another shader. That allows you to have, I'm going to click on that, that's the UV editor, to have maximize your texture space. UV sets cube sidewalls, one massive 4K, cube top surface UV, one massive 4K, because otherwise they'll be on top of each other. That was the whole deal. We went through all of that. Okay. Alright, good. And that's about it. So we did that. The next tutorial, I want to go a little bit further in terms of the shader, but this also has to be fixed. I think I'll fix that and show it to you guys after. Yeah, alright.